So I think the first thing I'll start with is stuffing the diodes. Let me make sure the camera's recording. There it is. It looks like I'm going to need 1, 2, just 2 more. That doesn't seem like enough. I thought there was more than just 3 diodes. 1, 2, 3. I have to look at the schematic, but I will get 2 more diodes inserted. I think I went ahead and bought 10 total just because there was a price break at 10. This is typical on DigiKey. And the rest will of course go into stock. So there's one here. There's one here. As always, I'm swapping out glasses. I've got way too much stuff on the bench here. It's definitely a mess. Really thought there was more than 3 diodes on the card, but I guess not. We need the little controller TO3 device. Bought several. They're here. Looks like I bought 5. They were again fairly inexpensive, and again, the remaining will go into inventory. Gonna get the leads bent somewhat to the outline on the board. Like it nice and square to the silkscreen. So he's in. Just looking for other stuff. Oh, there's another diode there. There's 2 more. Okay, that's what I remember there being. A total of 5. So we've got 3 of them in. So we've got 2 more to install. This orientation, and this way. Yes, I know, super exciting watching me solder. I actually had a comment on one of the earlier videos in this build that actually said nice build video, which was nice to hear. I actually didn't check to see how hot or warm the little switching regulator got. So I'm just checking the orientation of the diodes one more time versus the silkscreen. I think we're down to that 1 watt resistor. And I think I'm actually going to go grab. I'm pretty confident the resistors they supplied me are not 1 watt. I can see no way. Those are 1 watt. So the box of power resistors and precision resistors finally showed up. And in this box, I found a 100 ohm higher wattage resistor, which is perfect for that space. It actually measured, check it again, it was pretty damn close. It's actually measuring at 110 ohms, but that should be fine. Let's see if I can get an idea of the pin spacing there. Looks to me like 0.55 is good. Actually need, which would be there. Let me just check that again. 0.55. Am I better at 0.5? Debating here which is better. Well, we'll try the 0.55. Look for another resistor in this orientation, and the tolerance band is up. So we will put him in the same way. And I'm going to raise him up off the board a bit. I'm going to solder the top leg, then we will get him nice and square. The lead was pretty tarnished. I did have to clean the leads on these to get something that looked reasonable. He's not quite, oh, he's nice and hot, square to the board there. Still doesn't look quite square. I'm trying to get a bit of air gap. I don't want it directly down on the board, so it kind of airflow all the way around. Not that I really expect it to get that hot. We get good flow to the other side, and we did. So I'm happy with that. I was concerned whether the battery holder orientation was correct, because I do actually think I have it in backwards. And I'm going to try this CR2032. And now the positive is up, so that is the right orientation. Positive is up, so it should just go in like that. And we're either draining that battery very quickly, or we potentially have battery backup. I should validate the jumpers on here one more time with the battery backup in, and then we'll get this back in the computer and see what we've got. I'm doing one more final inspection, looking for any footprints that aren't stuffed in case I missed anything. And I'm not seeing anything. I think we have a fully stuffed build. I do need to get something in that gap there to fill it. They were recommending maybe one of these little jumper blocks glued in. I'll have to look for something like that. But I think at this point we get back over to the H8, get this plugged in. After I validate the jumpers, and we'll see what we've got. So when looking in the manual, there's a test point up here for the battery charge circuit. I don't have the RBAT jumper in, so it won't be charging this battery because it can't charge that battery. It's non-rechargeable. And the test point test is that the voltage should be 4.75 with the power on, so that would be one diode drop down, and about 4.5 with the power off. Well, this is only a 3-volt battery, so that's not going to be able to get up to 4.5. I don't know if this SRAM will actually hold the contents at 3 volts. That should be a little less than 3 because of the diode drop. Get the card plugged in. The orientation is right. If we look at the stack pointer, we're still seeing the top of RAM. So the next step, well, let's just try to enter something and see if it'll hold it. So let's go to memory address 040100 and do an alter and write in a 001. So we've entered a byte sequence, and we should see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Why did that count funny? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, and then 300, 31, 32, 300, 3, 4. There's just a test pattern in there. I'm going to turn the power off for a bit here. And actually, I'm going to grab an ohm meter and just see what that test point looks like. Voltage-wise, it's probably going to be about 2.7. There's going to be a diode drop, I believe, there. Volts DC. Get the meter in shot here. Let's see what we see on that test point. For VBAT, we don't actually see anything. Oh, there we do, 3.1 volts. So actually we're getting, pretty much the full battery charge through circuit. Let's bring the power back up. I'm just curious if that's now pulled up to near VCC, and it has. So the little circuit seems to have switched the battery in. Let's go to memory 040100. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And it looks like during that little power down there, the SRAM actually held its contents. That's excellent. So there was a jumper on that memory card that can be used to select the second 64K bank on the card. And according to that is you could mount a switch and select the second bank to put, software like the memory test into that you wanted to play with. And it will hold it, and then you can switch back to the normal bank for just normal operations. I haven't got a switch mounted for that. What I'm going to do next is enter the memory test, and then we'll run it, and then we'll come back, turn the power off for a bit and see if it maintains the memory test. Again, I won't put you through the torture of me entering the memory test. So the memory test has been input. If I come up to, I believe it's address, let me make sure of this. 105. How many sheets of paper? Yeah, 105. I'm going to go ahead and change this byte to be 377 so it tests all the way to the top of memory. So that'll test all the way to the top of memory. We've got the memory test input. If we go to our register, PC alter 040100 to set our starting address. And we want to monitor the BC, and we run. We should see, yep, there it is. So it'll sit here and run through the memory test. So I'm confident the memory test will continue to run at least as solid as it did before. We should see this shift to 2 here in a second, unless I've got something wrong, which it does appear I do. Did that actually fail? Memory 0401. Wonder if I entered something wrong. Well, I will stop the camera and step through the bytes for the memory test and make sure I didn't miskey something. So it looks like I miskeyed this address. It should have been 125 instead of 025 as I had there. Get to these last few bytes, and hopefully that'll correct the issue so that the memory test will run correctly. I'm not sure what that affected. The rest of it looks good. So if you go back again and do register PC alter 040100 to set our program counter, and if we monitor the BC, apologies for Rosie in the background. Oh, that sounds not good. There, it changed to 2 and 3. So the memory test is running, so I'm going to let this cycle for a bit, and we'll pull the card, let it sit for a bit, put the card in, see if it maintained the memory. It should. So the power's been off for at least an hour, maybe longer, and it's time to see if the RAM card has maintained its contents. So let's jump to memory 040100, and it looks like it has. Yeah, it has, based on the opcodes here. That's very nice. Register PC alter 100, monitor the BC, and go. And there's the memory test running. So I guess we have proof that for at least an hour that CR2032 battery will keep the RAM contents in place. So that's pretty nice. I keep forgetting to check the little switching voltage regulator there for temperature. So I'll let this run a few minutes and we'll check temperature on that. And I think the build of this card's pretty much wrapped up, except potentially forgetting the actual battery that goes in there so we can actually enable the charging circuit. So we've been running for a while now, and it's a little bit above room temp. I think it's not hot at all, so I don't think it's going to require any kind of heat sink. I think it's a pretty efficient little switching regulator for the 5 volts. So I think with that, I'm prepared to call this project done and move on to something else. So we'll talk soon.